Test, 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 test.
What's up, everybody? I'm Ryan from Taxi Garage, and today we're going to be installing one of our newest products. We have the Crazy Cart XL motor support brace. And this is a solid piece of 304 stainless steel with a welded on wedge. And we got the supplied hardware here, two 10mm bolts and 10mm nuts. You're going to need two open end 10mm wrenches, a big zip tie, a small zip tie, regular cutters, some flush cutters, we'll show you what those are for later, a small Allen screw with a 4mm Allen on it with a stubby, an extension on a 10mm, and you'll need two drill bits. The first drill bit size that we're going to drill with is 5/64 and the second one is 3/32. And we're also going to be modifying the tensioner today, and basically what that's going to allow you to do is put more tension on the chain and give you more reliability with the cart and the chain staying on. So we're going to start off with our drill, and we're going to take off these covers. So I like to stick my finger on the other side to prevent myself from losing any of these nuts, because they are very easily lost on this XL. Go ahead and unscrew all of them. Keep track of all the nuts that you're removing. Try not to strip out any of the Phillips head screw holes. And then go ahead and grab your 4mm stubby Allen. And we're going to go ahead and unscrew these little Allens underneath the seat. Once you get them loose enough, you can take your Allen off the socket and go ahead and unscrew them the rest of the way by hand to make life a little quicker, easier. Alright, that's one. Got one more. Alright, so now we're going to slide these covers off. Put your cover to the side. Like I said, keep track of all your hardware. Any of the nuts that you weren't able to remove, try not to lose them. Keep the cover in the upright position so you don't lose those remaining nuts inside of it. So now what we're going to take a look at is, why are we doing this XL support bracket? Basically, if you look at this motor, you can see that what can happen is that the bracket that supports it can let it cantilever, and as it leverages, it bends and it gets out of whack with the chain. So basically the chain won't stay in alignment, and the factory tensioner can basically push with one finger. It's very loose, and as you put more power into this with our battery upgrade, basically you'll want to add more tension to this tensioner, and as you add more tension, well, in turn it wants to pull the motor down and cause the motor to bend. So today our motor support plate actually allows you to increase the tension here and allows you to put more force along the motor's output shaft without worrying bending it. So now you're going to take your 10mm on an extension, and you're going to take your cutters and you're going to cut the zip ties for the motor wiring. This is just a little twist tie, and that's that. And then you're going to take your 10mm and go ahead and remove the 10mm bolts that hold the motor together on the neck. Spin the neck around, make your life easy. Get right on that motor bolt, and as soon as I remove this last bolt, put your hand under the motor, prevent it from falling down, and gracefully place it on top of the tire. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fish this slinky looking thing off the wiring up to the top of the neck. And there you have it. We have it here. Oh, that looks lovely. So now might be a good time to check to see if your wiring is damaged, because it looks like This one has some damaged wiring that we'll have to repair. But for now, we're going to continue the install. So, you also have to remove this cover, which we're going to need a handheld Phillips. Go ahead and grab your Phillips. Basically, this will give you access to the chain side. Alright. And then the last two down here. Should slide right off. And basically, you don't have to fully remove it. If you want to, you can. If not a big deal. We're just gonna leave it there. Basically, it's just to give us access to the chain and what we need to get to right now. So, you can see this factory bracket is really thin 1/8" aluminum. I mean 1/8" steel. And that's what allows it to bend over time. There's no support on the back half here, so as the chain gets tighter and pulls down here, this bracket tends to want to bend, and this tends to want to move up. So with our motor support bracket, it prevents all of that. So basically this acts as a wedge and gets wedged behind the motor. And this, when you're installing, actually sits underneath the actual motor plate bracket. And then it sits on the back half of the motor. And so when you're installing it, you're going to route the wiring over the rubber spot on the connector, or on the actual bracket. And you're going to slide the bracket just like so. And then you're going to shove the motor up there, and you're going to line up 2 of the factory bolts, the front ones, snug them hand tight, go over to the other side, line it up, get it snugged up, just so the motor's tight, but just tight enough. And if you look from the back here, you can see that the wedge is in the correct position, and as we tighten the new supplied bolts, the wedge will be wedged in between the top of the neck and the motor, thus creating a support. And now you can see the motor is completely supported on the back half of it. So as you increase the chain tension, you won't have any issues with the motor bending, because now it physically has a wedge behind it that doesn't allow it. So next thing you're going to do to complete the install is basically we're going to tilt the cart upright and make it a little easier for you guys to see what we have going on at the end here. Pick your cart up, put it on the back, just like you do with your favorite girl. And we are going to take the 2 10mm nuts and screw them on to the new supplied gold Taxi Garage hardware.
Now you have to have little hands to get in here, don't you?
Little
Just like
hands.
you with your little gloves?
Yeah. Yeah. I got all sorts of little things.
We know.
You do know. My favorite customer. Alright. And we're getting up in here, getting them threaded. Hopefully you guys can see that. I know it's
Little hands in there, nice and deep.
little, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, get those little hands in
Little
there.
crab fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, didn't quite get that one. Got these wrench fingers putting in work. There we go. There we go. Up, up. Oh man. So basically you're going to tighten these nuts down to lock the wedge in place. The motor's already completely bolted, but as you tighten these nuts, now you're ensuring that the wedge can no longer move or fall out of place. So basically you're just going to sit here and wrench these down. This one is a little stiff on the 10 mil, so I'm having to manually turn it quarter turn at a time. I'm sure we'll speed this up and make it not as boring, but you can see the labors of love. Crazy card love. All in all, what we're doing today is just really good preventative maintenance, especially if you plan on upgrading to the battery upgrade that we offer on our website. The lithium really takes it to the next level and adds a lot of power to this cart. And with power, you need to add reliability, and this is right up there in one of the best reliability mods that you can do for the chain not falling off. So now this one.
That one's a lot smoother.
Yeah. Came pre-lubricated for your pleasure. Ooh, the smell of your hands, bro. Just straight orange peels.
Like the citrus.
We from Florida. We in Florida. Better be all up in that citrus. Okay, it's almost there. Okay. Boom. You want to make sure the wiring's not caught. Give it a little tug left and right, and you can see it sits perfectly on the rubber that we've supplied on top of the motor support bracket, and it's not adding any chafing point. And so basically now we're going to go over what we have to do for the tensioner mod. So basically the motor support bracket's installed, everything's good to go. We're going to go ahead and show you what we need to do to get this tensioner off. So you're going to take your 2 open-end wrenches. You're going to slide this piece down out of the way, and you're going to use 1 wrench on the back, 2 flats, and the other wrench on the nut in the front. And of course, lefty-loosey. And
First time?
yeah. Woohoo!
How about you use that snap-on ratcheting wrench?
Yeah, we
on
could
the
speed
nut?
things up, but you
I like
know, I
that.
just like doing it slow.
You know? Oh, look at that adjustable. Look at that. Oh. I like that. That was very convenient.
Alright. So, take your tensioner off. Basically, the bolt has been removed. Sometimes the tensioner bolt is a little finicky. Take a screwdriver or something and give it a little tap. A little tap-a-roo.
Just tap it, tap, tap.
And there you go. You can
I don't
see
think
it's...
that was an approved method of that.
Well, you
Phillips
just don't approve it
screwdriver.
because they're your tools, but yeah.
Yep.
So you can see we're going to inspect the tensioner as well, make sure everything's in good shape. We check the tang. The tang is nice and long. It should be about a 1/2 inch long, and that looks good. Sometimes these can be broken, indicating that you might need replacement. And we're also going to check the wheel, and the wheel looks to be in really good shape.
So here's a tang that we pulled off of another cart we recently did this mod to, and you'll notice that the tang is very short compared to the replacement or the new style tensioner that Razor has provided. So this goes in the hole on the neck, which we're going to be re-drilling, but is a little teeny hole right here. So that hole is what holds the spring tension. So with these old style tensioners, you'll have a problem with it just falling out of the hole. The new one, they had the remedy. So on this cart, since it's a newer version, you don't have to do anything with that.
So now to do this tensioner upgrade, you want to find a drill bit that matches the size hole of the original hole for the tensioner tang. And you can see this drill bit fits. This is, like we said earlier in the video, this is a 5/64 drill bit that we're going to start with, and then we're going to finish it up with a 3/32 drill bit. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take basically about, you know, almost a 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch away from the original hole. You're going to want to put a little mark right there just with your drill bit, just to kind of give you a scrape so you can kind of see where you're working. And then we're going to take this fancy punch, we're going to stick it in the spot that we want to drill the new hole in, and we're going to give it a nice punch. And there you have it. We've punched the new hole, and that's where we're going to drill the new hole. Taking my nice snap-on setup, getting it ready to do some work. And of course, since we're drilling off axis, you do want to take your time to make sure that the drill bit does not wander, because if it does wander, you will end up with a hole that is not in a good position for you to install the tang into. Boom. So, clean it up. We're going to run the 3/32 drill bit through, which is the size of the tang that we're going to be shoving into it. And there you have it. Got a nice little hole. Give it the official blow. Go ahead and check that your tang fits in without any fiddling. And you can go ahead and install your tensioner now. I find it's easier to have the bolt in the hole already, so you can just slide it in. Sometimes it is a little finicky, so I get a screwdriver and I pry it down from the motor end, just like that. And then to put this tang on, you're going to push it with your finger underneath the tensioner, and you're going to slide the tensioner forward and hook it on the edge of it. So now you can clearly see the tension has been increased because we've changed the preload position of the spring tang. So now we have a lot more tension on this, and as there's more tension, it wants to put more force on the shaft, which in turn could bend this, hence why we installed the motor support plate bracket. Blah blah blah. Just messing up words over here. You're going to take that 10mm nut that you removed originally, and we're going to lock the tensioner back down. As long as I can keep my wrench fingers on it.
No, I do like those wrench fingers you got.
Oh, you, my girl, both. So, as we did before, 2 10mm. Making life easier with a nice snap-on ratcheting 10mm.
Did you get paid to say that?
Oh, I don't know. You should talk to J. Rod DeAnda. We might be.
Yeah.
Boy's hooking us up.
He's a big supporter. Love that guy.
Yeah, definitely. So, gonna check, make sure that's tight. All right, everything's looking great. Tensioner's sitting there nice and clean. Now we're gonna install the chain and install the cover back on. And you can see the old style tensioner, which is what Nick was talking about earlier, that had the shorter tang, also has a nut and a washer, and it's just a little cumbersome, gets in the way, you know, as you increase the tension. The newer one is a much more flush design and has a little more clearance involved. So, we're gonna install the chain now. We like to install the chain on the gear first, on the motor side. So go ahead and slip it over there. Then come around to your wheel side. And you're gonna fish this chain over one end of the gear. And then spin that wheel. what do we got going on here? There needs to be lined up. And we're just getting a piece of plastic. Really, we're trying to cheat. It's not having it because 45 tooth gears have this cover on it. So I think we're gonna have to remove this whole cover to get this chain back on. Or just slip the axle bolt out and put the wheel on. That might be an easier solution. What do you think, Nick? 16 mil removal?
So, these chain guards right here keep the chain on, but also make it a lot harder to roll on here. So we're kind of at this chain tension maximum. So what you'll find is definitely going to be slipping this out, getting it on. So these are two 16 millimeter nuts that hold the axle together.
Take that back off and then.
Now, I think we should probably get rid of this dumb cover, because that's safety, and I don't really think that safety is that important. Especially since he already broke it. So, that's going to make this a lot more easier and maneuverability much simpler. So.
So, now I'm going to slip the chain on.
That just gives a little bit of free slop in the wheel to be able to get the chain on. Now there are two spacers in between the wheel that keep it center. So you're going to want to watch this. Like this one's about to fall out, which I caught here for him. So that's a saving grace. Maybe you're going to have someone help you, like your dad or your mom. Who really knows? All right. Now is the center spacer good?
Is that we Neanderthal?
It's definitely a Neanderthal move that you just did.
Yeah, we're gonna take a small hammer and we're gonna tap it through with a little baby hammer action. A little baby slug.
Aha! Like a glove.
Then we put the lock washers back on, snug it back up, and then of course we're gonna check to make sure everything's functioning before we reassemble. Turn the cart on, go ahead and give it some gas. Chain alignment looks perfect, chain's not slopping, tension is superb.
It does look like this needs a little bit of lube.
Yeah, this chain has definitely seen better days. No doubt about that. Now we're gonna go ahead and tighten the axle bolt back up. All right. And we've removed this cover, like Nick said. It's already been blasted out by the owner, and he's one of our good friends, and he's not gonna really miss this.
I don't think he's gonna go jamming his fingers in here. Now, if you have children around this thing and they're gonna go jam their fingers all up in here, then yeah, it's obviously
Maybe it
there.
might be a concern at that point.
It's obviously there for a safety reason.
So we're gonna put it back down, and we're gonna set the wiring back up the way it was originally. And this is where the flush cutters come into play. And also, you want to set the length of this to go up to just inside that hole, so the spring sheath is on that entire area. And you're going to put the wheel at the maximum turning, and then you're going to zip tie it at that maximum amount. Then you're going to take the razor supplied zip tie mount, run the small one through it, and give it that extra bit of love.
See that? Flush cutters.
Look what they do, people.
This is when you have a 240 or whatever kind of drift car you may have. You got zip ties everywhere, and then they're sharp and they're coming out of your hands. Well, that prevents that. So
Oh,
they're
look.
super flush.
I'm not being cut. My
Yep.
fingies.
Yep. One of the most aggravating things ever working on a car. Getting cut by zip ties.
Alright. So now that the wiring's back in place, everything's ready to go. We're going to take the covers and we're going to reinstall them. And tensioner mod is done. So this cart's ready to be put back together. Let's show you how it's done. Basically the same way we installed everything, or uninstalled everything, is how we're going to reinstall.
Disassembled?
Yeah,
Maybe.
disassembled.
Maybe.
Depends on your choice in English. You know how we do. Coming through. All sorts of holes up in this. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. One more bolt hole. Yeah. Alright. Alright. You got some nuts popping off over here. Put your gun on tighten. Put your nuts in. Really, you don't need to do anything other than push them in with your finger and get them started. I wouldn't recommend tightening all of them at first. I would just kind of snug them up, just so you don't bind anything up. That one already had a nut. That one is nice and tight now. Now I'm starting to tighten everything up because we're getting onto that last one. So now we can go back through and tighten everything up. Alright, now that you've tightened all the top cover bolts, you're going to slide these Allen keys back into their respective holes. Get them hand snug to save yourself some ratcheting turns. Here we go. Hook it into your socket wrench. Go ahead and give it its final tighten. You don't have to go crazy on these because it is just tightening up a piece of plastic. If you tighten it too much, you're going to push through the plastic. So, that's it. Now you've got your 45 tooth gear for the top end. And you've got your tensioner mod done. And you've got your motor support bracket installed.
Now, is this a solid tire?
This is one of our solid tires. This is the Taxi Garage official brand. And go ahead and log on to our website, check them out. They're the best thing you can do for the money because those air ones, they pop and they leave you stranded. You'll be carrying your cart back and you won't be having a lot of fun with that. So thanks for tuning in. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to email us. We'll be happy to answer all of them and send it with us. Taxi Garage, this is Ryan signing off. Thanks.